Are we ready?
The color one, if you want it.
All right, it's 4 o'clock on August 19th, 2024, and I'm calling the Economic Improvement Corporation meeting together. Calling it not adjourned.
To order.
There you go. And Beck is going to lead us in an invocation.
Bow your heads in prayer, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this meeting with this great community. Give us guidance for the questions before us. Thank you again for this community in this state, in this nation, as it contemplates its future. Again, give us guidance for the decisions we have before us today. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your mercy. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. So, do we have any visitors for the visitors forum?
We have no signed up speakers.
Okay, and so we have the minutes from this was July 15th. Anybody want to
I
have?
would like to make a motion, we approve the minutes from the July meeting.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Like it's approved unanimously. And then we do not have a KEDC report today.
Both Gil and Katie are out at separate conferences
Yes.
this week, so we didn't have anything from them this week.
I'm sure they're doing great things. Though,
They are
because they usually do.
doing business right now.
And then we have a status update and a capital improvement project update.
So I don't have much change since last meeting. As far as Peterson goes, I think I just assume take that one off of our list at this point, since EIC's portion is complete, surgery center is open. I would like to say that Peterson has acquired that 100+ acres, 150 acres behind the hospital, and they're working on a development plan back there, so it's not related to this project necessarily, but their larger master plan is in the works, so it's exciting stuff for them. That's a mix of multifamily, retail, office space, commercial area back there, and some, I think some single-family homes too. Yeah. The downtown streetscapes, we will have, I think plantings are going to come in mid-September, and that should close out the majority of that project right there. And so we'll be able to finalize that one. The River Trail extension, we talked about this last time. At next week's city council meeting during the workshop, we're going to discuss pausing that project with the council and get their sign off on it. And then at that point, we're going to be going kind of hard and heavy on the easement acquisition to G Street, and what we talked about with that transportation alternatives funding. It's not a guarantee or anything, but if we can get those easements acquired, then that'll be a great leveraging our buying power through TxDOT and that program. And golf course is working through that phase 1 portion. Done some renovations to the cart barn. You'll see if you've been out there, there's a few new benches out there. The majority of that work is going to start in January though, and so that project is should be out to bid now, and so hopefully we'll get some good bids coming back to us at the end of this, beginning of next month, middle of next month, and general contractor selected to begin work in January. So golf course will close in January and open back up end of July, beginning of August. Excited about all that. The Olympic pool renovations, we're in the design phase. Once a design gets finalized, I'll have Ashley come before y'all and kind of, here's what the plan is. We want to make sure all the budget numbers work. And so we've gotten preliminary budget numbers back. And once we have that scope, should have something for you for next month. And fingers crossed that those numbers are better than we had all hoped. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I need all the help I can get. Cala Theater improvements, we are finalizing the bid documents to go out in the street for that right now, so that one should be going out pretty soon. Travis Street Pump Station, that upsizing, we're still working through the engineering of that. We've got notices out to TCEQ. Once you do these upgrades out there, they have to kind of weigh in. So waiting on word from those folks. And once we get that back, should be able to implement. There are several other projects that haven't started yet, but we're kind of on the cusp of it. So we should be able to add to this list with Granger McDonald's, Habitat for Humanity. I should have Heart of the Hills Heritage Center on here. We should be going to 100% construction documents at the Heart of the Hills Heritage Center this coming month, and construction to be complete. They've said December of next year. My hope is that we can push that back to, November, maybe in October, if we kind of push hard to get it open earlier. But that one's moving. It's progressing forward well, and it's right at budget. It's not where we all want to be. We have a little bit of cushion in retainage that we kept on the city side. We kept about $350,000 for the contingency. We're hopeful we don't have to eat into that, but I think we will. It's a renovation project for an old home. We're going to eat into that. So James Avery is waiting still on TxDOT's approval of the donation for the street light. That's, if y'all recall, help fund that light at the intersection of 27 and James Avery right there. That should come back September, October, I believe. And then lastly, no, that was it. So with that, I will turn it over to any questions. And I think you have someone in the crowd who wanted to speak about the River Trail downtown.
So you did send us a long list of the capital improvement projects.
Y'all got the city ones too this time.
Yeah.
Typically, you just get the last one, which is the EIC funded projects, but happy to answer any questions about city projects too.
I just was like, I don't remember hearing about some of this.
There's a lot. There's a lot of projects going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't see how the EIC was involved in some of them, so it was good. Okay, thank you. And
We have Larry Howard.
Hello, thank you for the time. My name is Larry Howard. I live at 503 Oakland Hills Lane. I just want to speak on the downtown river trail. I know it's run into some easement problems right now. I'll be going to city council the next week or so, and the timeline's not going to be met. But I've talked with Mr. Hornis about getting some of the easement acquisition. When that project comes back, working with TxDOT, I hope that EIC just sees the value in the Kerrville River Trail system. We're not finished. I don't think it'll ever be finished in my lifetime or maybe yours. But there's a lot of other places we ought to put on the River Trail master plan. I'm going to work with city council to get that updated in the coming months. But I just thank you all for being a supporter of the trail in the past. I encourage you to hang on to some of these funds that are maybe coming back from the city so we can get those trail segments built. Thank you very much.
We have no other speakers.
okay, thank you. I guess we're ready for our report.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, board members. So we're going to go over July financials, and it was a little bit busy this month, so it's a little bit longer than normal. Okay, so here is your statement of activities. Jumping right into your sales tax, it came in at $408,726 for the month. This is down 8.5% from July of 23. If you recall, though, June had approximately $56,000 in future and prior period payments that came in with that were intended for July's payments. So that is part of the 11% increase they had in June, but the shortfall here in July. Year to date, we are at $4.148 million, and that is short by $128,000 compared to our budget estimate of $4.276 million. It's just been very volatile lately. We can't even guess what to expect the next month to come, so we are watching that like a hawk. We did get August sales tax in last month. That is $404,000, and that shows to be down 10%. So performance hasn't been great, and we are going to be showing you a revised budget here on the next presentation for the sales tax. Down to your next revenue is interest income, $143,000 for the month, $94,000 in your revenue bonds, and then the other $49,000 in your pools and your short-term investments. Total earned to date is right at $1 million, and that's been performing well for us this year. Down to your expenditure section, you have City of Kerrville admin fees for $17,000, the last quarterly payment to KEDC, $85,000, and then your debt service. And then down to your investment purchases, you can see right below the debt service line, per your request in July, we did invest another $3 million. And we purchased $1 million in a federal home loan note with a no-call feature, meaning it's not going to call or pay us back what we put in, earlier than the maturity date. So it'll hold for a year. And that was a 4.87% yield return on that. And then we did a $2 million commercial paper with the 260-day maturity at a 5.21% yield. So we did speak to our investment advisors last week. They are showing signs that the market is changing. Commercial paper is actually lower right now than our pools. For the first time in a long time, it's well below 5% at the moment, the short term, the commercial paper stuff. The pools are still holding at 5.46, so those are a longer type investment, but the shorter term is dropping on us. So as of today, you have about $5 million invested of your monies. Down to your projects, we have spent for July, we spent $21,978 in the downtown utility streetscape project, and that is nearing to an end. We did return $741,563 for the unspent river trail monies. And then golf course, $78,320, Callow Theater, $24,000, and then Habitat for Humanity infrastructure was $106,000 for the month. So a lot of activity there. Total expenses, $2.9 million, and your change in net position was a negative $2.3 million. Any questions on any of that activity?
So, let me see, do we take action on approving this?
We have some more report to go,
Okay.
but just want to see if you had any questions on anything that happened for the month. It was just a lot going on, so I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Trina, are we still looking for other short-term investments, or are we just gonna keep it in the pool?
Right now, your pool rates are better than anything that we've been getting into, but I think we're just going to play it ear by ear, week by week to see what they're coming out with. Everything was at 475, 487. I had a printout somewhere, but right now, you may be losing close to 1% if I lock in somewhere, but I'll try to get in right before it drops even more so. But we'll keep our eye out. If you think we should, we probably could. We could go your project.
Does that 24 million include the investments, or is that?
Yes, your overall cash balance, that's your cash and investments.
We're roughly % invested and everything else in the next pool, or?
You have your revenue, basically everything you've earned on your revenue bonds, you still have, or your revenue bonds still at 20 million because you've been earning interest on those. And
Right.
Tex pool's at 3.5 million right now. Your cash, regular day-to-day operating cash.
I think the overnight rates are going to continue to soften. So depending on our time frame of needing that money, even at a 487, I think we'll be looking back at that in a couple of months, thinking that's a pretty good rate.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe there's still a little bit of room to buy some more.
Yes, there is. We just, we're not always so aggressive, but I'll take a look see what David has. He's our investment manager, and see how much we should probably plug in at. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I was on cash flow here. So on your cash flow, basically, yes, your ending cash balance is right at 24 million for July. And your second column is the remaining 24 projections. We have updated those with a new sales tax estimate for year end. And then the remaining project expenses we expect to have this year in 24. And then your 25 sales tax budget has been updated, and then just our best guesstimate on those project expenses going out. So you can see by end of 25, September, it looks like your cash balance will be down to around 10 million if everything trucks along the way it's supposed to. All right, financial analysis. Again, top left chart is your cash and investment balances. You can see those yields in your portfolio all right above 5% earnings. Sales tax chart on the bottom left. Those teal, blue, green highlighted numbers, that is flat with fiscal year 23. So if September comes in right at 23's number in our year-end adjustments we have to make, looks like we may still miss by 3% for the year. And then to the right chart are your projects and your remaining project commitments. That Downtown River Trail will drop down to the bottom as closed, but just wanted to see, highlight how much monies were left over in that project that were not spent. Okay, any questions on anything for July?
And we're putting that back into, that 886 will go back into,
Your text pool account.
okay.
Do we, or does the city track kind of sales tax for other surrounding communities?
We do.
Do you know how we're doing compared to Fredericksburg and Bernie and San Antonio?
So we did do some, we called around, especially for fiscal year 25 budget, just to see what they're estimating, what they plan to do. Most folks are dropping. They're gonna go below budget for fiscal year 24. Same retail region, but it kind of just depends on what they have in their city. You know, we have manufacturing here, and the home-based rule for sales tax comes in. So it just depends what everybody's setup is, how well they perform. But for the most part, most cities, local cities, or surrounding cities are dropping for next year.
Did we have a little bit of a bump during the eclipse?
What did that come out to be?
Like, that was like a 10% month, but
It didn't
Not
affect
a-
things much?
no, because, I mean, $1
million.
million to the city of Kerrville was like $10,000.
$10,000.
That's not enough when we're
Oh,
looking at
okay.
trend to say that it was anything. For you guys, it would be 5,000 on $1 million in extra
Yeah.
revenue. That, it's not enough to say that it was a bump or not, because we have those kind of fluctuations.
So
regularly.
it didn't influence the long term?
No, and we knew from the beginning sales tax was not gonna be, it takes such a large dollar amount when you're talking about, a penny for the city and half a penny for you guys. It would take several $1 million for it to really make a big impact to say, yep, that was the eclipse. So,
That month did perform better, but there could have been some future and
Yeah.
prior period payments in that. But that's going to be your June number here on this chart.
Yeah.
So we'll keep working at investments and just making sure we're getting the best bang for our buck and keep it rolling.
making up for sales tax right now.
Yeah, it is.
So you can't even say that April at 15% high, was the high for the year. You can't really say what that was about.
That is budget versus actual. So we kind of plug in when we're estimating where we should be this time of the year. We kind of compare history trends, and but obviously if we're comparing history, the last 2-3 years we've had double-digit increases in sales tax. So if it's just looking at historical, it's going to be a higher number of what it expected us to have, but it actually came in a little bit less, but it's still way better than fiscal year 23's for that particular month.
So there's a 2-month lag
Yes.
in what you see, so the eclipse would be shown, that's the June number that you see in there.
Yeah.
But April would reflect more of what was happening in February.
Correct.
Any other questions for Trina?
Nope. All righty. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we're ready to talk about the budget.
Yes, and I'm going to do that also.
Okay.
Okay, so, Martin, put that up, sorry. So basically, we're coming back to you with the 25's revised proposed budget, because obviously, looking at the performance of sales tax, we did the same thing for general fund for the city of Kerrville. is just not performing and we don't know what to expect. So we're anticipating, we wanted to drop it down by a 3%. Basically, 25 budget was proposed to be the same as 23 and 24. 23 missed by a little bit and 24 is going to miss. So we're going to go with where we're estimating to end this year, and that's a 3%, less than 3% of over the original budget, or below the original budget. That chart here is, we showed you this on the original presentation, so we changed our estimation number down and then that proposed budget number down. Everything else was going to remain the same. And just to keep, to remind you, your fund, it does not have to be balanced as we do on our general fund side and water fund side for the city. So you see that your expenditures are well over your revenues, the performance. And I know we've had in the past, you know, questions like, should we do a budget amendment to reduce that if we don't think we're going to meet? Not necessarily. We're watching it, maintaining, making sure your expenditures are not going to exceed the revenues you're producing. But most of your expenditures for next year are going to be paid for with your revenue bond, so they are taken care of already. Okay, this here is just a little historical chart to show you basically where we budgeted your sales tax to perform and then where it actually landed. So you can see that jump in fiscal year 21 during and after COVID. This is performance over the budget. So in fiscal year 21, we had a 27% better than budget, 22, 15%, and then 23 is where we started missing. We just couldn't sustain those increases year over year. And looks like we may estimate to end this year as a 4%. So we just want to, you know, we're looking back and making sure that we're checking all the boxes before we just decide which way we're going to go. But again, we get one lump deposit every month with the city's portion, so we're reducing that side, so it's only right for us to reduce the EIC side. All right, and as we said, we were come back to you, or after City Council approved those contracts for Granger McDonald and the parks improvements and the Heart of the Hills, we would add those to your budget list for the expenditures for fiscal year 25, and that's just showing, that's what this is reflecting here. So in green, the green text is what we're showing that we added those onto your list. So looks like 14.4 million in net change in position for the year, negative 14 million.
Can you remind me what the COK is?
City of Carville, we just abbreviate that. That's the city admin contract.
Here, okay.
Okay. All right, any questions on the fiscal year 25 budget changes?
So back to the revenue side, what was your interest rate assumption on the interest income?
4%.
Conservative, based on where we're starting, so.
Yeah. Yes. We were lower than that, but we were like, well, it's been holding for quite some time. As long as it took to get there, it may take just as long to bring it back down. So we bumped it up a little bit to the 4%.
What was the deadline on that revenue bond? It was a 3-year requirement?
85% within 3 years.
85%, okay. Like we're gonna go through most of it next year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very busy year.
I think the longest project is gonna be the golf should be done by end of next fiscal year. The theater should be done by the end of next fiscal year. The park improvements should be done maybe before this fiscal year's over. And then the Granger McDonald, I think that's gonna be completed by the end of next fiscal year.
Wow, okay.
Maybe not fiscal year, maybe the end of next calendar year
Calendar year.
for that one. Yeah.
A big lump.
Hopefully we'll have savings to bring back to you and multiple millions of dollars to invest in different projects. And what we talked about was the challenge of having to wait till the end of some of these projects with big deltas, and then if you all want to consider projects that require engineering, the engineering takes, 8-10 months, and then the construction of those projects is about the same or more. And so I think staff, when we start to see when we have savings, come back with shovel-ready projects that we can present to y'all. Unfortunately, that money can't just stay within EIC. We got to spend it if there is savings.
So I was wondering if, and this doesn't have to do with the vote that we're fixing to take, but I was wondering if we could do another 5-year for next month to look at what happens if the sales tax revenue, if it just remains flat. 'Cause
A forecast, a cash
a
flow?
forecast.
Sure.
And that way we can see kind of how these things are flowing through in the next 3 to 4 years.
Yes, ma'am,
Would be-
absolutely.
Really interesting, because I know that we were concerned about our cash balance.
We can do that and just email it out to y'all if you want, or you want to bring it back next month.
Anybody want to see it in here, just email it.
We can
It'd be
bring it
good to
back.
see it
as
in
a-
here.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions about the budget, revised budget? And do we go ahead and take action even though we approved it last
Yes,
year?
ma'am.
Last month. Okay, so I am open to receive a motion.
Accept the revised budget as presented.
Second.
And all those in favor? Raise your right hand. It's approved unanimously.
All right, thank y'all very much.
Thank you. I think it's a really good decision.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and you want to talk about the Go Team or pushing it forward to another month?
Yeah, I spoke to Kim Clarkson, who was, wish she could be here, but she couldn't be today, about pushing that to next month, and we can talk about any changes to the Go Team that we could do that with the full body.
Heading that, so.
Yeah, so unless you all want to make the changes without her and just tell her that's what happens when you miss a meeting. You know, that's the board's purview. No, I'd recommend that we push.
Yes, okay. I don't have to take a vote on that, do I?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And I don't believe that we need an executive session. And are there any possible, there was no possible action items out of executive session since we didn't have one. And are there any items for future agendas that you would like to add? Okay, so I'm open to receive a motion to adjourn. So we are adjourned at 4:28.
That was a
I
record.
tell you what.
You're good.